Thursday night in the NBA. Means there's not many games on, but of course we got another double overtime banger. Let's talk about all of the action, Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. All right, we already gave you a little bit of a banger there at the start because it's 2 games. And we had another Thunder double overtime game. A game where they almost lost again, but didn't. Because that's what happens when you win. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about Warriors Nuggets. We'll talk about news. It's not going to be as lengthy as what I gave you yesterday. That's what she said. But it's still going to be informative because there were things that we needed to talk about in that game. Things that were important. And we'll get into that in just a sec. We'll just start off with a little bit of news, eh? We'll talk about a little bit of information that's come across since we did the preview show earlier today. And we'll start just by talking about, again, briefly, I talked about this earlier. We know that Chauncey Billups is not coaching the Portland Trail Blazers. He has been arrested. His lawyer is denying some of the stuff. And he's on leave. So Tiago Splitter is the new coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and DMP legend Terry Rozier has also been arrested for a separate but also related incident regarding, cheating. So then they're not there. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you'll find the information. I'm not going to do a deep dive and all that stuff here. What we do need to pay attention to is, for some reason, not for some reason, we know the reasons, but the Sacramento Kings have upgraded Domantas Sabonis to questionable. Now, they said after he hurt his hamstring that he was going to be out for at least a week. We're bang on that. In fact, it might be less than a week. And we all know, we all know this. We all know that NBA teams handle soft tissue, but in particular, hamstring injuries, just in an unbelievably sound and cautious way. And we never see recurrences of these injuries. We never see these players rush back. So I am sure everything is absolutely tip-top and good to go. I don't know whether Sabonis is going to play on Friday. I'm going to guess that a part of them rushing him back is the fact that they just have no forwards at all, because Nick Clifford is now out too. So they would have had to be going incredibly small. Obviously, if Sabonis plays, you have no value in Drew Eubanks as a streamer, although you could hold him because an injury recurrence could happen, although Eubanks' value is not that good anyway. Their whole team is a mess at the moment. Sabonis will help, but they're still missing a lot. But it does look like that they're going to try to get him back because, why wouldn't you play it cautious? In New York, at least the Kings are being transparent because Mitchell Robinson's out again managing his injury. Just say he's injured. Just say he's injured. Because he hasn't been injured, but you're doing load management on a surgery that happened, July 2024? He did leave one of the preseason games in the middle of it, and I'm guessing he just re-injured his ankle. I don't think you should be holding on to Mitch Robinson. We also don't know whether Karl Anthony Towns or Josh Hart is going to play in that game, so it's all over the place. All of their rebounding threats, and yes, that is Josh Hart, could not be there. So, Ariel Hakporti, Big Chungus Gershon Yabusele, the Dancing Bear, he could be there. Trey Jemison, is he going to be? It's a messy situation. And until we know the status of Hart and Towns, you could stream in a McBride, but again, there's 12 games left. You're not going to really care about that too much. What you are going to be looking at to see if there's anything that lingers longer term, and then you take a look at the Huckporties and McBrides, but again, they keep labeling Towns and Hart questionable, although they label Towns whatever they can find. Whatever label they just find laying around, they go, take that, and then they'll change it 5 minutes later. So we'll see exactly how that plays out, but it's frustrating very obviously, and same as the Kings situation with Sabonis. And if you drafted Sabonis, you just hope that they are not, you hope they're not pushing that a little bit too early, but I don't know. I feel like they would be. So we can just start getting straight into the games now, because we're not going to cover the most added and dropped waiver players. We did that on the Waiver Wire show, which was released earlier today. So let's just get straight into talking about the Thunder and the Pacers, the first game of the day. It does go to double overtime, and the Thunder win it 141-135. Cason Wallace started in place of Jalen Williams in the last game, but then Cason Wallace was out of this one with a knee sprain. We also had no Alex Caruso, which, of course, is really... What is going on there? I didn't know that was going to happen. No idea why that old Bulls lineup came up. Just a few little kinks in the system here. But yeah, we've got Aaron Wiggins, who moved into the starting lineup with no Cason Wallace. And Alex Caruso was also out, along with everybody else. I believe the Thunder have 7 players out of their 18 guys that were unavailable due to injury. So when we take a look at this box score, it might provide you some information, I guess, but we're talking a double overtime game with 7 guys out. It's hard to judge too much. We'll start with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was ridiculous again. 55 points, the first 50-point game of the season. He had 55, 8 and 5, 2 steals and a block. Unbelievable from the line. Very strong, especially for a guard from the field. But of course, that is just a lot of minutes adding up for Shai in the first 2 games. It's a lot of points, but it's a lot of minutes. And you would think that they will be extra cautious about this as we move forward. It was also big minutes for Chet Holmgren. Now, everyone was praising Chet at this huge offensive breakout, and here it comes, and look how good he is, blah, blah, blah. Remember that? He had 15 points on 33% here. The game is fine. He hasn't blocked a shot in 2 games, which is annoying. 15 and 12 is fine, but again, 39 minutes. It's a lot for Chet, and they've got a back-to-back coming up, so just watch what they do with that. But it is worth noting that Chet's big game, the first game, was fueled by a shooting that was unsustainable. This one here is unsustainably bad. Like, it will be better than this, but that's where we get the reality setting in. Hartenstein is really sort of struggling to do much here. 5 and 14 in 37 minutes. I am still holding him, but it is trending in the wrong direction. Well, the big fella, Lou Dort, it doesn't really matter, does it? He can be out there for 1,000 minutes. He can have every player injured. He doesn't do anything. 7 and 8 with 2 assists. He just does nothing every time he's out there. What we do want to focus on is a couple of guys who had some really big performances. Let's start with Ajay Mitchell. Now, Mitchell was a focus in game 1, and he did it again. But last time, he was really good and played like 17 minutes. This game, we got 38 minutes from Ajay Mitchell. 26, 3 and 4, that's a career high. He took 19 shot attempts, the second most on the team, and a perfect 8 of 8 from the line. So you look at this and go, wow, what do we do? Do we add Ajay Mitchell? And all of this runs through here to tell you that, sure, like that's good. He's a 12% rostered player. That's all well and good, but no Jalen Williams, no Cason Wallace, no Alex Caruso, no Isaiah Joe. Probably not Jalen Williams, but 3 of those guys could literally play in the next game. And then you'll have, eventually, Williams return and testicle legend Nikola Topic. So while it's great, and if this opportunity stays like this and this lineup stays like this, yeah, Ajay Mitchell very clearly has 12-team value. But, like, what if it doesn't? This is a key example of how you look at the 240 game and how important it can be in figuring out the long-term value. Now, if you're using stream spots, do it. Totally okay. And the same goes with Aaron Wiggins, who played 36 minutes. He had 23 and 9 with 5 threes and a block. And we saw him last season. When elevated into large opportunities, he will be useful. And then when the guys get healthy, he does nothing because the team is too good. And there's just not those opportunities there. Brooks Barnheiser played 14 minutes. Usman Jeng went scoreless in 15 minutes, which is actually an improvement for him. And not much else going on. This is how bad the depth was. Old mate Brandon Carlson played, as well as Chris Youngblood. Yeah, they're 2 players. And they got minutes because they are banged up. So before you get overextended or overexcited about what the Thunder and those, especially Mitchell and Wiggins here, about what they're going to do, just remember how you've got to fit in the minutes of all of those other players when they return. When I return, we'll talk about the Pacers side of this because there's probably more interest on that side, to be honest. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and the ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all in one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that is robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Today's episode is also brought to you, and what a great day for it to be brought to you by DoorDash, because the NBA season has started. We're 3 days in, and we've already had the first player to drop 50 points. So when you're watching the game, you're setting your fantasy lineup, DoorDash is there with you to make every game night better. It is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something now called the bag drop. Whenever an NBA player scores 50, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander today, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day. So you're automatically entered as well for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. It's a player-inspired drip bag with exclusive gear and stuff that you'll actually want. So even this ad copy says DoorDash will have you covered for late night highlights, last-minute watch parties, and double OT fuel ups. Yeah, where Shai drops a 50 bomb. So next time someone goes off for 50 today, use the code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April the 13th. Open to US residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Okay, so we got the info cracking there. Let's talk about the other side of this game. It is the Indiana Pacers, of course. So, first time we've seen the Pacers play all season, so we don't have previous games to go off. And this is another one of those tough ones because stuff was quite different here. And I'll explain what I mean. TJ McConnell obviously out. We know Halliburton's not coming back, but they also had no Cam Jones, and they had no Quentin Jackson. So Andrew Nembhard has shifted over to point guard. He did not start well. 4 points in 17 minutes with 4 assists. Didn't make a single shot, and we talked about how his efficiency would probably struggle given his role and the fact that it's been terrible in regular seasons anyway. And then, of course, he got hurt, and he didn't play the second half or any of overtime. So you don't do anything. You're not dropping the big fella, Andrew Nembhard. We're not doing something stupid like that, but it's not ideal. Now, we've talked at length as well over this last week that the Pacers had this really good schedule, and they play a weekend back-to-back. So it is possible. It is possible, given who is out, and given who might be out in Nembhard, that maybe you look at Ben Shepherd to be an option to roster across the weekend. Shepherd is only 1% rostered, so he's available most places. Obviously not if you're in a double Onyx Titanium Diamond Platinum league. He was gone years ago. But if it's in any other league, then you're going to be all right. Shepherd's role could really increase over the weekend. He had 15 and 8 here. He played 39 minutes before fouling out, and he had 4 assists. He was basically the team's point guard, him and Ben Mathurin and Siakam handling all of those roles because they didn't have anybody else. But like we said, there are a lot of things to sort of pay attention to here in terms of how this game played out, because it's easy to just look on the surface with many things. But we had a situation where Johnny Furphy was only available in an emergency, and he played 1 minute at the end of double overtime because everyone else was like fouled out. So he would have been part of the rotation as well. Aaron Nesmith played 27 minutes only, and he fouled out. He had 5 and 7 and shot 29%, and he was terrible. We thought that Nesmith might be able to ramp up usage this season, and he still might, but it's also possible that he just does not have that in him. He isn't a ramp-up player, and that would make him harder to get excited about as a hold. For now, we do hold, but it wasn't great. Should we do goods or bads? Let's do goods. Siakam, 32, 15, 44 minutes. Lovely. 25 attempts. Fantastic. I think we're in for a pretty good run from him. Obviously, there's concerns at times for lack of defense, but this is good. But the big story I think most of you will want to care about is Ben Mathurin. It is going to be easy to look at this if you just take all context out, which don't. But if you do, you go, oh, Halliburton's gone. Mathurin's stepping up. Contract year. He's going to get everything cracking his way. And sure, when you have 36 points, he takes 19 shots, He has 88% shooting from the line on 17 attempts, which is ridiculous, on 29 usage. You go, yeah, of course, easy. But remember this, 45 minutes. Take the 10 out of, he fouled out also. So take 9 or so out of double overtime. Easy. Take them out. And that gives you 35, 36 minutes. But also, remember, Nembhard, out. McConnell, out. Jackson, out. Jones, out. And Carlisle likes the high-pressure game, which means he's not probably going to give these guys 35 minutes every night. It is unlikely that Mathurin, A, takes 17 free throw attempts in games, or even that he shoots 55% on his twos. His threes were fine. Now, what he did do is he got you good rebounds, and he did improve that a lot last season. But let's go to the Ryan Anderson special, where he had a combined 1 assist, steal, and block. Not good. And he is very sort of narrow-focused. Mathurin was a really good pick. Really strong pick at the end of drafts for that free throw percentage bump and scoring. But this is, I don't like to say it's absolute best case, but it's pretty bloody close. You're losing 1, 2, 3, 4 guards. Your shooting guard, small forward fouls out, and you get a double overtime game while getting 17 free throw attempts. I don't really know how that gets better. So I don't think anybody would be looking at that as a sell high, but maybe they would, because I've already heard it. Breakout, it's happening. It's all here. If anyone says, I want Ben Mathurin, and they're offering a top 50-ish guy back, top 40-ish guy, do it. Happily doing it. But they probably won't. But just what I would do, I don't know if I'd necessarily go and offer Mathurin around, because people go, what's he doing? But if someone comes to you about it, think about it. Think about it a lot. Let's talk about bad stuff, because the centers were bad. And we talked at length about the 3 teams with terrible centers. Probably should have included the Pelicans in there too, because they're the 4th with bad centers. And I said that the Charlotte Hornets, the Boston Celtics, and the Indiana Pacers have the worst centers you've ever seen. And there is a chance that they just run these random 3-man rotations, 4-man rotations at center, and no one really emerges. We like to take flyers on guys to see what happens. Isaiah Jackson got the starting job. In the past, he's had some really good numbers. Strong rebounds, great blocks, high field goals. But one of the cautions here is coming back off Achilles surgery, limited minutes, I'm guessing, and back-to-backs he won't play. We take flyers to see what happens. It's what we do. We take flyers on Jay Huff to see what happens. And it did not happen for Isaiah Jackson. He was terrible. He had 4 fouls in 8 minutes. Basically, just didn't see the court after coming on to start the third quarter, and that was it. Just didn't come back. And that wasn't all foul trouble. He was just terrible. He went scoreless. He had 1 rebound. He didn't block a shot. He was 0 of 2 from the field. Terrible. And if you want to drop Isaiah Jackson in a 10-team or 130-player league, 150-player league, 170-player league, also okay, go for it. Because they've got the back-to-back. He's probably not playing both of them. He will get into foul trouble. And we just hope to get 24 minutes, 9 and 8 with 1.7, 1.8 blocks on 60% shooting, which would have been enough to have some value. And in points leagues, he's nowhere near that. He's nowhere near good enough. But it wasn't James Huff that stepped up. And yeah, his name is James. I know we call him Jay, but yeah. He didn't step up. He barely did anything. 12 minutes, 5 points, 2 blocks. And the reality is that Huff and Jackson are both just not good. They're not good players. So they're going to be limited. Now, Huff had his 2 blocks, but you would think in a game where Jackson has 4 fouls in 8 minutes that Huff might play 25. Well, I don't think Carlisle wants to do that. The guy that won was Obert Toppin. 40 minutes for Toppin. 20 and 5 with 2 steals. Now, he is a horrendous defender. Usually he's a better efficiency player than this. He took 18 shots. But again, will we be in a situation where Toppin starts? Probably not. Will we get a scenario where Jackson plays only 8 minutes again? Well, it could happen, but on the regular, probably not. Toppin is totally fine to roster. Especially with the weekend back-to-back coming up. He might get 30 minutes a night. But his defense is going to be terrible, and that might have an impact on Carlisle. So if you wanted to grab Toppin, do it. Him and Shepherd, very solid ads here. And if you want to drop Jackson, it's okay as well. Because we take flyers to see what happens. And it's not necessarily that Jackson was bad here, and he was. It's the fact that even though he had that foul trouble, there were opportunities to bring him back in, and Carlisle did not. And he did go to the 3-man rotation there, even got some minutes from, who was the other center that came in? Yeah, we even got 10 minutes of Tony Bradley. So we saw that it's going to be just spread. And that's a bad sign. If it's going to be spread like that, it's bad. There'll be games where Jackson is totally, totally fine. And there will be others, like today, where he's putrid. And if you don't want to deal with that, it's okay. You don't have to. Jarvis Walker, hello. Played 30 minutes. He had 13, 4 and 4. Pretty good stuff from him. I wasn't sure where he would be in the rotation. I wasn't certain he'd even get in the rotation, honestly. The 30 minutes here again is upper end stuff. He's just not going to play this much on most nights, would be my guess. So there's a lot to come out of this. From a, hey, look at Top and look at Shepherd, but also a, just be cautious about overreacting to games where 5-6 guys are out, foul trouble creeps in, and it's double overtime. Double overtime. It's one of the traps in fantasy. It's like, well, look at all this, but then there's so much context that does need to be shown around that before you get too excited there. We will come back and talk Nuggets and Warriors in a sec. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by Rugiet. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've heard them all before. Oh, it's stress. I'm tired. I got into foul trouble. My shoulder was sore. It happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little bit of extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. You go and entirely online, see a board-certified doctor with the consultation, and if you get prescribed the medication, your treatment ships directly to your door in a discreet package. Visit Rugiet, rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That is rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use the code LockedOnNBA so that they know that we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. With the NBA season here, FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5, and you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, you pick a bet, you put $5 down, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use right across the app on spreads, on totals, on parlays, on futures. It's all there, live betting over on FanDuel, and it's really easy to do. So what are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. So not only do we have an absolute banger double overtime game, then we follow it up with not only another overtime game, but another 50 bomb, and the team loses. What is actually going on in the NBA today? It's a tough time for those the game sucks. We need to contract teams. Everyone's bad and everything sucks. No one watches. That's all terrible. Back in my day, I'm only 20 years old, but back in my day, back in the 80s, everyone was just way better. They played defense then, actually, and they'd kill everyone now. It'd just be a whitewash, a bloodbath. Who cares? We're talking about just actually unbelievable stuff that is happening every day in the NBA. So let's talk about the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors. Nuggets first game of the year and they lose 137-131 up against your Golden State Warriors. Let's talk about what on earth we just saw. Let's start with Big Chungus, the consensus number one overall pick, who had a triple-double. That's great. 21, 13, and 10. But I'll tell you now, he did not play well. It was one of the worst games that Jokic has played in recent times. He shot horribly. 35% from the field. He was 3 of 4 from the line. He went 1 of 2 of 13 from 3? Remember last season, I talked about regression coming, and people did poo-poo that a lot, I know that. But I said he's not probably going to get 2 steals a game, he may not average a triple-double, he got one here, and he probably doesn't hit 41% from 3. This does not indicate that he'll hit 41% from 3, but does indicate that there were some things there that were a little high that may come down. He is fine, don't worry about it, but he was not very good here. But I'll tell you who was good. And it's not the guy you think I'm going to say, because their headmaster, Jamal Murray, was unbelievably good. Yet he still wasn't the best player. 25, 3, and 10 with 3 steals. I was grabbing Jamal Murray around the start of round 3 in a lot of drafts. My projections were very high on him. I like where it's going so far. We'll see if this holds. He didn't even shoot that well from 3. He did from 2. Overall, good stuff. The thing that I drafted Aaron Gordon in quite a few situations, and I thought he was being undervalued a lot. But come on, 50 points? 50. I think that's the number he's wearing now, isn't it? 10 threes. Now, he will not shoot 91% from 3 or 81% overall. But he had 50 and 8 with 10 threes. I talked about last season how he went from a 28% three-point shooter to a 44% three-point shooter. So I don't know how real this is. But it also tied it in with an improved free throw stroke, which is often a good indicator. And I think he just might be an excellent shooter now. Not this good, obviously, but I think he's an excellent shooter. If for some reason Aaron Gordon sits on your waiver wire, add him. One of the other things that I was cautious on this team was like, hey, I'm not sure you want to really super rely on Christian Braun being a 58% shooter. He had 6 points on 43%. He had 4 rebounds. The problem with Braun is he doesn't take enough threes. He doesn't do anything else apart from get you high percentage shooting. And if he doesn't get high percentage shooting, he's literally useless to you. I don't think you should drop Christian Braun. But I think you should be like, yeah, we might get there pretty quickly. Also, don't drop Cam Johnson. But, again, narratives do not get solved or decided on after one game. But there was a general consensus that Michael Porter Jr. swapped for Cam Johnson was a clear upgrade, Johnson was a better player, and he would have great numbers. My counter to that was, no. And it simply was, if you're especially just talking about the numbers, is that Johnson was the number 1 option. He would go to the number 3 option at best, maybe the number 4 option on this team. He was terrible, Cam Johnson, in this game, and he still played 32 minutes. Overtime helps. He had 5 points. He shot 25%. He didn't do anything else. Don't drop Cam Johnson, but it's very easy for me to see ways in which Cam and Christian Braun become droppable, especially in shallow formats. Don't do it yet. But the outcome of this game, to me, is really, it wasn't hard to see. I'm not like, wow, I can't believe that. It's not a stunner. Valanciunas had some foul trouble, but whatever. He was just a solid backup to Jokic. Brucey Brown had 4 and 5, while Peyton Watson 16 minutes, and that meant that Strouder and Pickett were out of the rotation as Hardaway and Brown got playing time. You can stream guys like Hardaway and Bruce Brown in situations where it makes sense, but obviously they're not going to have long-term value. If we go over to the other side, and we will go over to the other side, we'll do it right now, in fact, let's go and talk about the Golden State Warriors, the second game for them for the season, and they get the victory. They went with the same starting lineup. Let's talk about John Kuminga, who was great in the first game. He added some things we hadn't seen before, but there was some caution. I said if he doesn't shoot 67% from 3, that game wouldn't have looked as good. And he shot 25% from 3 in this one, and it doesn't look as good. Now, it's still okay. 14, 5, and 3, but it's more like, okay. It's fine in a points league. It's a back-end category league guy. I think this should be more of the expectation. It's still fine, and he looks better. He looks way better than he did. But there are going to be percentage fluctuations from Kuminga, and we saw that here. I do think that Jack Armstrong needs to have a chat to Brandon Podziemski.
Get that garbage out of here!
34 minutes, 11, 3, and 1. I voiced some concerns with Pods in the preseason about would he have enough to do, and what happens when everybody else, Hield, Payton, Moody, Melton, all play. 2 of those guys haven't even played yet. And Podziemski is really struggling. Hield only had 11 points with a 3. We don't need to worry too much about him. For Podziemski, if you are in a shallow format, an 8, try again. A 100-player league, 130-player league, drop him. Don't think it matters that much if you move on. If you're in a 150-plus, he's probably a hold. But if you wanted to make a switch, for example, and say, well, Aaron Gordon's there, easy decision. Aaron Gordon every day of the week. If you wanted to make a switch, and I think Nembhard, and by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier, Rick Carlisle's comments about Andrew Nembhard and his shoulder, not good. He said this might be a potentially big problem for us. So if you wanted to take a flyer on Ben Shepherd, whose value would probably drop once TJ McConnell returns, and say, well, I think it might be Shepherd, and you wanted to drop Pods, the odds are it probably doesn't work in your favor, but I don't think you're going to lose much from it. And I think that's some of the decisions you got to look at. Could Shepherd give you more than Pods short term? Maybe. But I don't think that the plan here on Podziemski or the value of him is looking fantastic. Steph was ridiculous. 42, 6, and 7, the game tying shot at the end. 3 steals, 56% shooting. Now, of course, that will fall away as well. I loved Steph in the first round this season, and he's delivering so far. I'm very happy with what he got. And Jimmy Butler, not quite as good as game 1, but still really good. He was going too late, but the reasons were injury, generally. 21, 5, and 6 with 3 steals for Jim. Al Horford played 29 minutes. That is a lot for Al. Now, he will not play tomorrow. He had 13, 3, and 2, which is not bad. But given the fact that it might be low minutes, Given the fact that he's sitting back-to-backs, I don't think you need to hold Al Horford. You can, but you don't need to. He's totally okay to be on the waiver wire or on your roster. If you're in deep leagues, old Willie Dick is playing really well. 6-5-3 for Will Richard in 17 minutes, and just another one of those names to mix in there to maybe crack into pods. And Moody is likely to play tomorrow as well. So just another potential issue that may arise. We just be aware of that a little bit. That's the day. Should we do some lines of the night? We probably should. Who do you think is the monstrous? Because there's a couple of candidates. Both players scored 50 points, but the one I'm giving it to is the one that hit 10 triples. Aaron Gordon. 50 points, 10 of 11 from 3. 8 rebounds. Insane percentages. Closely followed by Shai. Your waiver wire line of the night. You know where we're going with this. It's Aaron Wiggins. 23-9 with a block. Don't buy into it long term, but it's value while players are out. The same goes for the young gun, the best first or second year player. It's the same guy. It's Ajay Mitchell. He was awesome, 26, 3 and 4. But when Wallace and Caruso and Williams and Topic all come back, he's just not going to get to do enough. In the dud of the night, this is easy. It's Isaiah Jackson. Bros had 1 rebound. He had 4 fouls. That's the highest stat he had, 4 fouls in 8 minutes. If you want to drop him, I get it. If you want to hold him, I also think you can do that. But it's going to be very choppy in trying to deal with him for the duration, at least of the early part of the season. So I think we had a lot of stuff really happen today, which doesn't always happen on 2-game slates. Sometimes like literally nothing goes down and we don't get any sort of interesting information. In this one, we had the potential, like Aaron Gordon, easy grab. We have Obi Toppin's an interesting guy to take a look at. Maybe we get a Ben Shepherd injury replacement. Ajay and Wiggins, we keep them in our head because they were really good. And then we look at what do we do with pods? Do we keep him? Where does Kuminga sit? Probably still a keep. It's just an unbelievable start to this NBA season with the quality of basketball that we are seeing, the performances that we are seeing, and I don't know. I'm guys, sorry to tell you, the desk might be rising. If your desk is rising, you know what to do on this video. You give it a thumb, you give it a hype, you give it a double bang, which means listening to the audio and watching the video. Remember, we watch this Nembhard situation very carefully. Very carefully. I think it might not be good. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.